Good morning, everyone. Actually, it's afternoon, I think, already. It's definitely past 12. Welcome to my Rhinebeck 2019 recap and haul video. My way of doing my recap and haul is to sort of meander, take you through day by day what I did and what I saw and what I bought. So if you're a new viewer, and I usually get a lot of new views on these recap from big festivals. If you're a new viewer, this will not be a normal episode. My normal episodes, I take you through what I've been knitting on for the past couple weeks. I podcast bi-weekly pretty much. And I share any inspiring things that I have been thinking about, or I may share design work that I've been working on, or I have finished and sold or whatever, or gotten published, even if it's self-published. This is just gonna be a Rhinebeck recap and haul, and I think that's mostly why you're here. I want to first just thank my loyal, continuing returning viewers. I met so many of you at Rhinebeck this weekend, and it was such a joy to meet you and talk with you and see, you see me every week or every other week, but I never see you unless you out yourself to me as one of my viewers. So I deeply appreciate each and every one of you, and it was so delightful. That was my favorite part, I think, of the entire weekend, was just meeting some of you. And with my channel name being Whiskyandwool, I was told more than once that perhaps there should be a bit more whiskey and a little less wool. So with that, Curtis, I'm going to speak a little bit about a whiskey right now. So this afternoon, I thought I would give a try to this wonderful Deanston Highland Single Malt. Camera likes Martha always. This is a limited pour. You can see it's a 2002 organic PX finish. Deanston, I visited them in March when I went to Edinburgh for the EYF Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and I picked up a couple little bottles of some limited pours. So this is a very limited release. This is bottle number 76. I think they made only 100 or 110 bottles. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. I did pour it into the dram that I also purchased, the glass that I also purchased. So this is like a traditional whiskey dram, or a whiskey glass for whiskey. I poured a little bit in here, and my way of drinking whiskey is to put a little sprinkle of water in there, and you can use a pipette, like a little tiny pipette, to put a couple drops of water, or you can water it down even more. Like some people would put half water, quarter water in. I just throw a few drops in there. It's super important. I learned this long ago that it's super important to put a couple drops of water to help the flavors open up, and the whiskey just tastes more flavorful. And by putting a few drops in a glass this size, you're not watering down the alcohol content anyway you're sipping it. So I don't think it drastically changes that alcohol taste, but it does sort of soften it around the edges. Just a couple drops of water. So I usually just put a few drops on my fingers and just sprinkle it in. So that's what I do. Anyway, take a look. This is like a lovely amber color. Did I bring my notes over about it? I did not. Okay, so let me just talk to you about the finish. So PX finish, that PX stands for Pedro Jimenez. That's a type of sherry. There's, I guess, 8 different sherry barrels. So this is one that's known to impart sweetness and it's more sweet than the one that's normally used, which is the Olorosa, yeah. So the PX finish is sweeter and like deeper, like a deeper browner sugar, like almost like molasses taste. So this is right up, doing it, all of those things that the PX finish gives it. It's got a honey taste. You can smell like dried fruit. It's very sweet. It has like a very sweet smell, but on the tongue it's not so sweet. Though you do get, because you get like a smoky, hints of smoke and hints of spice in the taste on your tongue, and then at the end you get this like sort of fruity taste to it. I think the Oloroso sherry is more, the ones that are finished in that have a little bit more citrus taste, a little bit more like more of those grassy citrusy taste, more like what you might get in a lowland whiskey. Yeah, so that is what I am drinking today. It's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. I sipped a couple times just to kind of get make sure that I was tasting the things. Oh, it's got there's little hints of like dark chocolate in it too. That's so good though. So good. All right. There's my whiskey chat. Now it's going to be all about Rhinebeck. I'll have more. I'm going to really try to make a point to have more whiskey chat. Okay, so Rhinebeck. I went up on Friday morning. I unfortunately lost power here. Oh, and I will be inserting clips of, I did take some footage, but I'll also be borrowing where I think when I'm reviewing and editing, I may be borrowing Instagram photos from people. They'll be credited. I usually try to go directly to the vendor for the Instagram photos. Like a lot of vendors will take pictures of their booths ahead of time. So I may insert those so that you get a full feel for what it was like. Rhinebeck is if you've never been, incredibly huge event. It's, and I mean, I don't know how many thousands of people, 20,000 people maybe, head into this fairgrounds. The fairgrounds are massive, and like most country county fairgrounds, there's stalls for animals and barns for animals and all different types of animals. This is sheep and wool, so all of the animals are animals that we use in fiber industry. So it includes sheep and rabbits and llamas and alpaca, vicuna, and goats. So you'll see all of those at New York Sheep and Wool. The animals are really fun to see. That's probably the best part, I think, about Rhinebeck, because if you're just going to look at fiber and squish yarns, you could do that at almost any fiber festival, but to be able to see the animals is really fun and special. Okay, yeah. So Rhinebeck is massive. That's one thing. It's also a show that's tough to get into because it's a really good moneymaker if you're a vendor. So once you get a spot, you keep a spot. If you give it up, you can't get it back necessarily. They give it to somebody else. I've heard tales of people being disinvited. I don't really know how that works. I don't know a lot about the politics of it. But nevertheless, as the indie dyer industry started to blossom, some indie dyer events started to spring up around Rhinebeck. So now the big day for most, because Rhinebeck is a 2-day show. It's Saturday and Sunday, though you can take classes Thursday and Friday as well. There's just no vending on Thursday and Friday, or very little vending on Thursday and Friday. And it's completely outdoors also. There's barns, of course, when you are inside, but they're very much barns. So if it's really cold outside, those barns are also a little, can be chilly. So I'm sure like wintertime is probably not very conducive to any events on that fairgrounds. It's in very nice fairgrounds though. There are a lot of permanent buildings, and it's beautiful. Yeah, it's a beautiful part of upstate New York, a beautiful part of the United States. Just very countrified, and a lot of country stores, but the village of Rhinebeck is quite large. Anyway, you're probably sitting there saying, "Get to it, Shannon, get to it." I forgot to tell you, my name is Shannon. I live in northern New Jersey, so I don't live too far. I live very close to the New York State border. I'm like 20 minutes away. I'm about 20 minutes south from the New York State line. So Rhinebeck is about an hour away from me, the town of Rhinebeck. Nevertheless, so I drive up on Friday, because on Friday there's a lot of these satellite events. Well, there's 3 primarily. One has gotten rather exclusive. It's Indie Untangled. I wasn't able to get into it this year. And it is Indie Untangled almost is completely centered on indie dyers and indie makers. So there might be like project bag makers, but they're independent. So not affiliated with big companies or anything like that. Whereas in Rhinebeck, proper in the New York Sheep and Wool, you will find some big companies in there. Though they're not really that big. They're supposed to all be New York centric, but that's not the case either. There's ones from Maine and there's ones from like New England area. I think there may have even been some from like the DC area, Washington DC area. Okay, get to it. I'm getting to it. So I drove up Friday. I did not get tickets to Indie Untangled as I usually did, and I was kind of glad in a way because I never made it to Needles Up, and Needles Up is in its 3rd year. So because I didn't have tickets for Indie Untangled, I went to Needles Up. So I started there. They opened their doors to general public or general admission. No ticket needed. You just had to queue, line up, and wait. That was at 1 o'clock. So I got there slightly early. Because I lost power, I ended up leaving earlier than I needed to, or than I had planned to. So I'd planned to get there pretty much at 1 on the dot, maybe 12:45 to just get in the queue. So I got there earlier than that, and I got in the queue, and it was quite short. And then I realized that I forgot something in my car. Oh, my patches. So I gave these out everywhere I went, wherever, if people started to talk to me and spent a little time getting to know me or shared with me that they were a viewer, I was giving out my Whiskey and Wool patches with Whiskey and Wool, the name of my YouTube channel and the name of my Ravelry handle, and then my Instagram sign-on account here. Like it's got extra O's in the word wool because the one with 2 O's was taken, so I just went for 4. I just figured why not. So I had left these in the car, so I wanted to make sure I had them so I could give them out to people that I was connecting with, either as a customer or as, a peer, a fellow hobbyist, or as like instead of business cards, I guess, just to say, hey, so yeah, check me out, remember me. And then the line was it had doubled, but it was still quite short. It wasn't too bad. They were counting how many people went in, so they were only allowing a certain number in, and then people had to wait till people left. So that I think I got in. I just made it in into the first cut. So I went in and I was so excited to see classy squid fibers because, as my returning viewers will know, I learned how to spin in May. I took a class with Alex Creates, who I saw later that day. It was really cool. I should have taken a picture with him. I didn't. I forgot. Next time, Alex, I'm going to get you. So yeah, I went to Classy Squid Fiber because I have been buying her fiber for the last few months, and I really wanted to. She had a couple colors that I was curious about, and I really wanted to see. So I have so much crap on the surface next to me because over there, half of it is covered with stuff that I'm going to Italy tomorrow. So I've started to assemble things that I know I want to bring. So that's half of it. So then my Rhinebeck haul is like piled up like that's just crazy. Crazy. So I looked at Classy Squid Fibers stuff, and I didn't have anything in particular that I really wanted, except that I was really curious about the Harry Potter kit that she put together. She put together a kit of 10 I think half ounce or 10 1 ounce collections of her Harry Potter colors. So they were sort of autumnal, and I like autumnal colors, but you'll see I really tend to lean more into that yellow blue, including all the greens that happen in between. I really sort of buy more in that spectrum, with shots of pink and lately red. So you're going to see that's really more of my stuff. So more of my palette, I would say. Her colors were, in that Harry Potter box, were more autumnal, like a little bit more muted autumnal colors, and I just decided not to get it. It was cute, though. It was so cute, and if you were into those colors, it was definitely worth it. So nevertheless, I went through and picked out some batts of colors that I was interested in. So this one is called I'm not even gonna try. This must be a book reference because I think she does some book references. So there you go. That is that. That is what that is. And this is what it looks like. So I just thought this was really pretty cool. I have a feeling it was going to come out mostly black, which I like black as much as the next person. And I like pink as much as the next person, but I thought this might be an interesting additive to, you know, some of the yarn that some of my hand spun that I've already worked with. And oh my gosh, I got such great ideas for hand spun, just chatting with people. I bought 2 batts of that. The batts, as you saw on the tag, are 2 ounces. So this will give me like 1 full skein, the 2 together. The 4 ounces together will give me like 1 full skein of this color, which I thought might be cool for color work or something like that. And I actually have an idea for what that might be. You'll have to tune in 2 weeks from now to find out what I'm talking about. The next one I picked out is this one, and this one I saw on, I'm going to open it up so you can see it. Excuse the crinkling because my microphone's right there. This one I had seen on Instagram. I followed her on Instagram and I was so curious about it. It is called All the Mirrors of the World. You can see the content there. And this is what it looks like. It's a neutral. It's primarily white with bits of gray, and then she puts, I think it's upwards of 15 different colors of mylar or Firestar, like sparkle. So like all these colors of sparkle that just really add this depth. So All the Mirrors of the World is from Mr. Strange and Dr. Norville. Is that the right? I might have that wrong. Professor Norville? The Susanna Clark, I want to say it's Susanna Clark who wrote it. Susanna Clark's son, maybe. I'm putting it on screen because I'm not recalling, you know, and I'm going to completely blame this little gem right here if I stumble over words. But you'll see, if you're not my regular viewer, you'll see I do a really good job editing. So information that I'm not conveying here, you will get in editing. Okay, again, 2 batts of that, 2 2-ounce batts, which will give me 1 4-ounce skein. Will be really awesome. This, you know, the thing with this is that this particular color, just talk a little spinning talk right now. What I realized with this is that there's absolutely no color management, and the same with this too. There will be no color management to do, which I actually really love color management, and I swear to you, I'll be teaching a class soon on it. Hopefully, and I'm going to actually apply to Vogue to teach color management classes because I realized that I actually have a knack for that. I didn't know until people were saying to me, wow, whoa, like they were looking at some of my spinning and telling me. So that was cool too, and very interesting. But I realized that this will be a really cool spin, but it'll be fun to watch the sparkles because that's what's interesting to me about spinning, both the color management and sort of watching the progression of the yarn develop. So I think with all the sparkles in here, which you're really not seeing, you're not getting a good view of the sparkles at all. Sparkles just really never show up on camera very well. You just get a little hints, but you don't get the full effect until after. Until you see it face to face and sometimes in the sun. All right, so basically 2 skeins quantities there. And then finally, I bought this little beauty, and apparently this is a regular color. It's called Parisan Confectionary. So it's a super fine merino with Polwarth, Firestar silk, faux cashmere, and more silk, and also Angelina. So just check this beauty out. And she made little batlings or something. I'm not really sure of the right term for that. But anyway, like this is like a rainbow skein. So I realized how cool rainbow skeins are for making baby blankets. So I was like, rainbow skein, it goes with everything. So this is a 3-ounce bag. So this, if I can get this to fingering weight, which I think I should be able to, maybe a heavy fingering weight with those little nubs and stuff in there, it'll be perfect for an upcoming baby blanket. All right, well, let me move on. Oh, and last, I was able to select, I have a bunch of these because I've ordered from her quite a bit, and other fiber people do this too. They give you like a little sample of their fiber. So I was able to choose whatever one I wanted. She always throws these in. But Amanda was lovely. I chatted with her for a little bit. I told her about my spinning adventures, and I learned quite a lot just in chatting with her. So that was so fun. So I made a beeline to her booth. She was in the middle. Right up front was Sucre miniature. So I waited a little bit, and the crowd's kind of thinned out around there. And I did purchase some things. I'm actually really pleased with them. My returning viewers will know that I love Halloween iconography. So, of course, I had to load up on Halloween bits and pieces. So I got this little batt sugar cookie with sparkles. It's sparkly purple. And I also got this cute little pumpkin. Not all her pumpkins were like this cute. This one with its little curly Q. But I really liked it. And then last, I had to get... I'm cracking up because even though, I'm an empty nester, my kids have all moved out. They've been living on their own for the past, since I think the last time someone was home, it was January 2018. So it's been a while. It's been a long while that they've been out. But nevertheless, like, I had to buy this bubble tea progress keeper, mostly because of them, because of my kids. Let's see if I can maybe make it so you can see it easy. See the bubbles on the bottom? Because, and especially green, because one of my son's green tea, he loves green as a color and as a rule. And he loves green tea, so he loves bubble tea. So I was like, this would be perfect. Too bad he doesn't knit. Otherwise, this would go in his stocking. But, I don't have any knitters in my family besides me. I have a sister who knits sometimes, but she's not a crazy knitter like I am. And then she threw in the vendor's name, who I don't remember right now, but I think she's a West Coast rather. She threw in this cute little pin as a gift. You're not going to be able to see it. There you go. Sleepy Sheep Society. It's so cute. I might now have to go get a progress keeper that she made that looks like that. So yeah, so that was so then Needles Up was actually pretty small. So other than, it was a small room, and I think there were maybe 9 vendors. I also went over to the Tuft Woolens booth, which I don't know why. I thought that their prices were really, like, going in when I knew they were going to be there, I thought that their prices were a little high and that I wasn't going to buy anything from them. But when I looked, the prices didn't seem that high to me. I don't remember exactly what these cost, but I bought 2 of these hand creams. One is lavender, I think it's lavender apple. Oh, it smells so amazing. I love lavender as a rule, as a scent. And there you go. And with the apple, the little sweetness of the apple, that sort of toned down the uber soapy smell that you can sometimes get from lavender. I also, of course, had to buy cider donut. There wasn't a sample to smell of this, so I actually didn't smell it ahead of time, but it does smell a lot like a cider donut. I ended up also buying 2 lip balms, and one of them is the cider donut taste, which I used this all weekend. I opened it as soon as I got in the car and kept it on all weekend. And then I also bought lemon, because lemon citruses are my favorite taste. So when you're putting lip balm on, you're getting something in your mouth, so tasting it. So yeah, I probably, if it were a show, like if it weren't a show where I was also, I already spent a lot of money on other things, I maybe would have loaded up. And also, I don't need a lot of this stuff. Lip balms, I feel like going into winter, you can't have too many. I put them everywhere because I can easily get those cracks in the corners, and I know that having lip balm on prevents those cracks from happening. So I put lip balm on before I go to sleep, and yeah, I'm a lip balm junkie, I guess. So, and I go through it quickly. So I figured these were a good buy, as were these. Nothing was more than $10. Like I didn't see any of their products. Like maybe if you're buying like big, like they did have big tubs of lotion, of cream, like body cream. Maybe those were more than 10, but I didn't see anything that was more than 10. And I don't know why I thought it was going to be really expensive. Maybe I'm mixing them up with another company. Yeah, so yeah, I did that. And did I make any other stops there? No, I circled through some of the booths, and there were some indie dyers, of course, Legacy Fiber Arts, who are the organizers of the event. They had a big booth. Their booth was jam-packed. I could barely get in, and I realized that I didn't really, I sort of pressed up in there and slipped in and to like one of the side areas, and I realized that I really wasn't in the market for anything and any indie dyed yarn necessarily, because I have so much. I talk about this a lot on my channel. I think I have like 90 or so single skeins of indie dyed yarn, 90 single skeins, and then I have, I don't even know, 10 or 12 sweater quantities of indie dyed. So I like to keep count, so to prevent me from buying or spending too much on things that I already have. And I love each and every one of them. I really do. And that's why I bought them, because I love them. So it just sort of seems senseless to buy more when I have all this gorgeous yarn that I really, really love. I was into looking at show specials, like specials that were just specific for Rhinebeck. But I didn't know enough about who had what special colors. The only one that I knew about was Cat Sandwich Fibers, and that I really wanted. She was vending at Indie Untangled, and I had a friend that was going, but by the time she got in, it was sold out. So whatever, that's fine. Some of these things, do know that, like, if you have been oogling a special color, a Rhinebeck special thing, even some of the stuff I'm showing you, I don't think I got anything Rhinebeck specific except for some souvenir type stuff. All the vendors almost always put pre-orders in, or they'll put on, sale, whatever. Not a sale, but they'll put them up for sale on their websites and stuff. So if you really, really want something, you should definitely check out. Sooner the better. Like, those vendors get home Monday, so by stalk their Instagram to see when they're going to be available. Okay, from there, I was out of the needles up by like 1:35 or so I was only in there for like 30 minutes, half an hour. I did all my chatting in line and a little bit in the area, in the venue. Got in my car, drove across the bridge over to, because Needles Up is in Kingston area. Drove across the Rhinebeck Bridge, across the Hudson River, over to Rhinebeck Township, where the very first Rhinebeck Yarn Bazaar was being held, and wow, that was an event and a half. And it was really nice. They were doing the same thing, like keeping count as people went in and trying to monitor the amount of people. So I got in line. I was there by 2. I parked very easily on the street, walking distance, about 4-minute walk. Very, very easily. People were worried about parking, but it really wasn't that bad. I saw a lot of people walking in. Maybe if you got there later, it might have been a little more of a struggle. And so I was able to go in. I waited in line for an hour, but I met so many people waiting in line. It was so much fun. I just want to say this too. If you were there at Rhinebeck a yarn bazaar and you heard about the woman that fell, that was me. I fell outside because there was this hole. It turned out there was this fairly deep hole that I wasn't looking down at the ground. Instead, I was talking to some friends that I met online, and then I turned. I had told one of them, oh my gosh, that woman's sweater. I was looking at this sweater, which I'm going to put a picture here of her sweater, because she let me take a picture after I fell and like humiliated myself and stuff. Got back up, brushed myself off, and was like, oh my God, can you tell me about your sweater? So she let me take a picture of her. But anyway, my friends in line, the people that I was talking to in line, were telling me, oh, there she is. And so I turned and I saw her. I locked eyes on her and started to walk, and I walked right into this hole that was pretty well disguised with some grass. And I ended up I couldn't catch myself because there was just no ground to catch myself on. It was just every time I went to try to straighten my ankle, I was just getting deeper into the hole, like sliding deeper into the hole. So I ended up on the ground, and the organizers were horrified, and they quickly put a chair over the hole. I don't think anyone really realized it was there. I just had the misfortune of stepping in it. Anyway, I was fine. I was totally fine. I got up. I was just really embarrassed. I got up and chatted and shook it off essentially, and just went into the show. And yeah, there was a lot of booths that were completely packed, just like old days at Indie Untangled, before they started to do the very limited amount of people that could go into the show. A lot of the booths were so packed you couldn't get in them. So I hung out a little while trying to see if I could get in. Like, there was Cake and Wool was one that I really actually saw her at Rhinebeck the next day, and I told her, I said, I couldn't get in your booth. Like, I really, really wanted to check out your stuff, but I just couldn't get in your booth. But I think, that happens. And again, like I said, another indie dyer who I adore them, but I have a lot of indie dyed yarn, so I wasn't feeling like I really need some. I was super curious about Seacolors, so I happened over there. I was thinking that sea-colored yarn would be very rustic, but what I didn't know, I ended up buying some. I'm going to show you right here. So I ended up with a yarn baby. This was kind of funny. What I didn't know about Seacolor is that she went to Bowdoin. One of my sons went to Bowdoin College. I didn't even realize that. It's on her, in case you're not sure about what I'm saying, the word, it's right there, Bowdoin. Bowdoin College is a very, very highly competitive little college in Maine, and it is, oh my God, I think they accept like 6% of their students now. At the time that my son went there, it was like 12%, but I mean, he says to me all the time I would never get in if I went. Anyway, that's cool. I wish I'd known that. Anyway, sorry, back on the wool. You're here for the wool, not for my chat about my boy, who I'm so proud of. So anyway, I was completely expecting sort of Green Mountain spinnery style yarn with rustic and toothy. I put my hands on it and was amazed by the softness. It is so, so soft. It was just like amazing. So I was like well known for this, because people stopped me the next day and were like, I saw you walking around. You were vending at the yarn bazaar, weren't you? Because I saw you walking around. It sounded like you were talking up a product, but I wasn't. I was just a happy shopper. So she made me, the woman, I guess her name is Nan. I didn't actually meet her. So Nan took my skeins, all 4 of the skeins that she had sold me, and put them into a yarn baby. So I think this is going to stay as a yarn baby for quite a while. But isn't it gorgeous? It's a 2-tone. She didn't have too many of them. Apparently there were only 5 skeins of this color. I bought 4 because that's what I determined would be a sweater's quantity for me. And she coiled them up like this, and I ran into other people. This is why, I guess she only did this for a couple people. So I hadn't seen the rest of the show. So I had this like cradled in my arm, and I was walking around with it, and it was like a draw. People were coming up to me and stroking it and just enjoying it. And I was telling them they were like, what is this? So I was telling them about it, and it was really fun. I ended up meeting many more people just because I had a yarn baby. Yeah. So it was really fun. It was like a fun festival atmosphere. They had live music the whole time. I spent probably the better part of, I left there at 4, so I spent about an hour inside. It took me an hour to get in, and then an hour to get out. Alex Crates was there too. I chatted with him, and I talked with him about I basically thanked him for starting me out on my spinning journey, and I was told by a number of people that my spinning is pretty advanced, considering that I just learned. So I don't know. I thank you. Thank you. I think that's a good thing. But I told Alex, I said it's because of him. I credited him with my being a good start. on spinning. So he loved that, of course. He's such a lovely man. I love him so much. I met Amanda too. His partner in crime, I guess, is the best way to describe her. And they tend to do a lot of fiber shows and fiber things together. Yeah, so I got this. I walked around. I saw a couple other vendors. I saw Molly Girl, Angela of Molly Girl. I had spent an entire day with her one day at my local yarn shop. So we were chatting and catching up, and she's very good friends with Zandy Peters, who is hanging out as well and giving away a pattern. So I got my, if you're not familiar with who Zandy Peters is, she is famous for this pattern here. This is Fox Paws. So she gave us all a coupon code so that we could download any pattern of hers that we want. And I think I'm going to get Fox Paws because it's just brilliant. I mean, the way that woman's mind works is just wow. Just wow. But she's a lot of fun too. So, yeah, so I chatted with them. Then I went around. Oh, I got this. Finally, I got to what I'm wearing. I bought this cute t-shirt. I got the last one. It's a skull. And it says Badass Knitter on it. It is from Lady Dye Yarns. So I jumped into Lady Dye Yarns boot. I saw this t-shirt. I saw it. They had the icon and Badass Knitter on tote bags. So I saw the tote bags first, and then I saw the t-shirt, and her person that was helping her held the shirt up and said, "This is the last one." And I was like, "I'm taking it." And it was a little, it was tag size small. I'm not usually a small. I'm a medium or a large. So I was like, "Oh, it's small." And she held it up for me, and I said, "I think I'll fit in it." And she goes, "It's unisex. It's not like a woman's small, so you might be okay." And then Lady Di herself told me I'd be fine. She was like, "What do you usually wear?" And I said, "Medium." And she goes, "You're going to be fine." She goes, it will just fit across your bust," which she's right. She said it might have a little negative ease, and I think it has a little positive ease, actually, because I think I get a little ease under here. And yeah, I couldn't be happier. So happy that I got this. And then right across from them was this company called, I gotta find the card. Where is it? Company called, I think they're called Beautiful Sisters. Here it is. Oh, this isn't them. This is about the fabric. But anyway, the company is called Beautiful Sisters with a Y in the word sister instead of a, I think I can show you here. They make project bags. And I had seen this bag on their Instagram, and I was super interested in it. It's an origami style where you can tie these this way. You can take this strap and put it to the side and make it a yarn bowl like this. So if you like yarn bowls, if you like to use yarn bowls, or you can also push the strap down into it with your yarn and stuff and tie this up like that. Or of course you can use this, like tie those and use this on your arm so you can stand and knit or travel knit. They make this in all the gorgeous like rifle paper company florals and abstract patterns that are just amazing and beautiful. But they also have a line that they use using these fabrics that are printed in Rwanda, and they're inspired by Rwandan culture. And I really, really love that idea, and I love these abstract. Like I love their sense of color and also their sense of line and pattern. That this is just one of many. I think maybe I have well, there's a woman. You can kind of get the idea of the prints and the type of the ways that they combine color and pattern. I don't know if there's any more in there or not. No. So with this purchase, a percentage of it goes back to the women who are making the fabric and working in the factories and stuff. So I thought that was just really, I love that, of course, because I'm I am into social justice. If you, so if that makes you not want to watch me, that's fine. But I do talk about social justice issues occasionally. So yeah, so this really tickled me. I just really wanted to have it. I certainly don't need more project bags either. But this was a very unique one, and I really loved the concept and the, yeah, all of that. So that was the end of my Rhinebeck Bazaar purchases, I believe. At that event, Kristy Glass was a sponsor, and she was doing giveaways. It was really fun. They kept us very entertained while we were in line. We were talking. There was a yarn swing, which a yarn bombed swing, like porch swing, that people were sitting on and taking pictures on. And honestly, like if I had already done my shopping, I probably would have done it. And if it didn't take so long to be in line, like we didn't want to lose our spot in line, because that was, yeah, we were just like, uh-oh, no, we need to stay in line. So we didn't jump out of line and sit in the porch swing. But it's so cute. Will have already put a picture here. It was just, we were really lucky too that both Friday and Saturday were gorgeous. There was not a drop in the sky, and there were some clouds, but on Friday, but not too bad. And Saturday, yesterday, was gorgeous. Today's kind of rainy. I imagine it's probably a little rainy upstate too. So I think that's all. If I come across something else that I maybe should like transfer stuff that I've already shown you to the floor, so then I don't get, because I'm like burying things that I need to show you. All right, and yarn baby. So, I don't know if I finished telling you this is 100% Polwarth, so it's super soft, not rustic at all, and that really interests me. I have no idea what I'm gonna make out of this, but I'm gonna give it a think. Oh, I do want to say too that this one, I didn't think about it till I got everything out. This could be like a good, if I want to do color work, like this might be the way to go with a black, like something that is black but not like a solid black, like some way to, because I realize like this is a really sweet sort of girly girl color. It's very much mermaidy with those that aqua and purple. It's very mermaidy or mermaid-ish, and I want to just bring it down a little bit. So I'm gonna see how it knits too. Like I won't make any determination until I start caking it. But I think caking it's gonna be a long ways away, because I just love this so much. You don't need to hear me say that for over and over and over again. Okay, so after that, I went at 4 o'clock, there were more events. They were yarn related, like there were some knit nights that had been organized by different groups of people. There was, that I just ended up, I didn't go to, because I stay with, when I go to Rhinebeck, I have a friend that has a house in a nearby town, about 20 to 30 minute drive away from Rhinebeck, that's not that far for upstate New York. That's actually quite close. So I wanted to be respectful of him and his time, and the fact that he was going to, letting me stay, hosting me, so to speak, because he's a lovely cook and was making a fabulous dinner. So I went over to a liquor store to pick up some wine, Astor Wine, in case you ever wonder. Right across the street from the fairgrounds or like sort of down, just on the same road, but across the street and down a little ways. Lovely wine shop, great selection of French and Italian wines. And I picked up a couple bottles of wine for our evening and made my way up to his house and hung out and worked with him, or not worked with him, but I did some work, chatted with him, caught up with him. He was just back from a trip as well, so that was how I spent my evening. We watched the Great British Bake Off, because we both love that show so much. And here, this season right now, they're only releasing 1 episode every Friday, so you have to either save them up if you like to binge watch them, or you get an episode a week. So I've been watching an episode a week. So anyway, I got up. I had a full day yesterday, and I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of that. um, Before I show you what I purchased and talk to you about what I did, I just want to show you some pre-order things that I got. So in all through Rhinebeck, I carried this bag. This is by Shelli Can. It is her Rhinebeck 2019 bag. Actually, it says, oh, those are the dates, 18, 19, and 20. But I just really, really loved this yarny inspiration of, and sort of take on the sunset scene that was so popular in the 1970s and early 80s. So I just really, really loved it. It was just spot on, right up my alley. So I used this as my bag for all day on Saturday. And I also had, I'm going to have to put a picture in here. I had bought some more t-shirts from her too. And two t-shirts from somebody else, another vendor. But all those are dirty, of course, because I wore them and they're in the wash. So I'll photograph them and put them in editing so you can see them. But those were things that I pre-bought ahead of time so that I didn't have to worry. I knew I wasn't going to the Untangled where she was selling them. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to pre-buy. So I have my my tote bag, and I don't have to worry about trying to find her or anything like that. So yeah, after that, I went on early, very early, around 6:30 in the morning. I got up the next day, and got dressed, hustled out, and I was on the fairgrounds, on the Rhinebeck Fairgrounds by 8 a.m. And I had a brochure. I don't know what happened to it. It's buried somewhere, but I'm going to just show you. I also made a printout going into Rhinebeck of what the fairgrounds look like, so you can get an idea of the scope of it. They're really, really massive. So when I'm talking about barns, those are here. There's some here. These are all vendor barns, and then there's more barns over here. These are all animal barns over here. And then all in between, there's either food trucks or booths or events going on. It's really a massive, massive event. I had a few things that I really wanted to do, or people that I wanted to make sure I saw and stuff. So I just made myself, that's why I pre-printed this, and I made myself some notes. I have attached here a directory of who was where so I could keep it all straight. So I got to the fairgrounds. The fairgrounds actually open at 9, but I got there at 8 so I could do the steeking event with Kristy Glass. So that my returning viewers will see that my sweater is now steeked. I was quite nervous that this is my first time steeking, so I was quite nervous that perhaps I didn't do the reinforcements properly, but it worked gorgeously. Like, I was really especially nervous about the bottom because, you know, when you cast on and you knit in the round, the bottom and the top was what I was worried about. When you're knitting in the round, that's where you're starting, and that's your continuous loop. So cutting that first row essentially and that last row was super nerve-wracking. Like, I was just really nervous that would be the spot, that if it was all going to come undone, that's where it would come undone. I was also very nervous about the color work section. Not about cutting it, but about the fact that might be the place where it would become unraveled. But so far, so good. I am going to give this another blocking. I had blocked it once before I did the front bands. I didn't block it again because I really wanted the front bands to lie flat. And when it was unsteeked, these were open like this. So I just didn't want to deal with that. They didn't quite fit underneath each other. So I will give this another blocking. I'm going to tell you more of this. If you're really curious about this, you can just go to my project page on Ravelry and it'll tell you all about the yarns that I used. But I'll also be doing a recap of this sweater because now it's completely finished next week or in my next podcast. So I'm not going to go over the yarns and stuff. But I did the steeking event. It was really fun. It was really cool. Kristy was late and she's a little disheveled. And I mean, she looked great. She wasn't disheveled that way. She was just like, she needed some time to get organized and like figure out what was the best angles to which direction we should, like, we were all lined up in one in a row, and then we had to move over. We had to completely go on the opposite side because she realized that the light was better going the other direction. And so there was a lot of like us just kind of shifting around as she tried to figure out the best camera angles and stuff. And I think that was mostly because she had arrived like a little bit on the late side, and we were all just standing there staring at her waiting. She gifted all of us these cute little scissors, these little snips, which these, I'm going to Italy tomorrow, as I told many people. I'm going to Italy tomorrow, so these may be really great to travel with because they're plastic, so they might be less intimidating than my metal ones, if I could figure out how to open them. Well, I'll figure it out. Oh, there we go. Oh, I see. Oh, they do have a little metal tip. You can see there. Oh, that's super cool. So see, this goes on like that, the guard. Isn't that really, really cool? They're called Super Snips. I love them. I guess they were compliments of Stunning String Studio, which is a vendor who was in Rhinebeck. I think they got bought by another company. I don't know the whole story. She has it on her channel. I think they got bought by another company. So you wouldn't find them as that. You'd find them as something else. Or maybe they bought someone else. Oh, I don't know. I cannot recall at this moment. But that was fun. So that was really fun. It was a fun way to start. So then after we did the steeking and there was a lot of production work that she had to do where we had to, we did a lot of posing and we did some different things for her to mess around with in her editing room. So we did that. That took like till about 8:45, maybe 9 o'clock. People were just starting to go in actually so it probably took right up until 9 o'clock. The nice thing about getting there early was that I parked very close to the fairgrounds. So I was very close to the entrance. I ended up right there. So I had a really brief walk back to my car where I unloaded this. I ended up not wearing it around because I was nervous about it. And I had also had a gold sweater that I was planning to wear for the Glorious Gold Along that Dundernit did, that Caroline of Dundernit did, Knitting Vicariously podcast. So I went back to my car, unloaded, reloaded. I was bringing another sweater that I was going to wear for a Junko Okamoto meetup. Loaded my bag with that. Went and got in line. By then the line was huge. But I have to say, like, usually I get there around 11:30, 11:45. And I go, as soon as I get there, I go get lunch, because if I get there a little early before the lunch breaks usually happen, I can get the food when it's not too crowded, and then when everyone's eating, I can get into the barns and get around pretty easily. It turns out that when you get there early, when you get in the fairgrounds 9:15, 9:30 even, the barns are still pretty empty because not everyone gets there at that time, and also people that are so people tend to get there a little bit later, I guess. Like, it turns out maybe 11 a.m. isn't the best time to arrive, but that's the way I've always done it, and I just never knew. And the only reason that I got there early was because of the steeking. So the other thing I found was that because I had gotten there later, I didn't feel as pressured to get to things quickly. So I really took my time, and I really, really enjoyed myself. So I didn't sometimes the crowds can really get to me because I just know that it's going to take me twice as long to walk from one end of the barn to the other. And if I'm trying to get to a particular place, spending that time waiting can be really, really frustrating and disappointing. So because I had extra time, I wasn't concerned about that. So I really, really enjoyed myself. So that was interesting, good for me to know. So next time I'm going to try harder to get there early. Not at 8 necessarily, though that definitely paid off for the close parking. But certainly maybe by 8:30 or so. I noticed too the lot that I parked in where they put me, I was second row where they do the sheep herding. I was two car rows back from that fence where the edge of the festival. So I was really, really close. 2 gates very reasonably close to me. And I noticed that they stopped putting cars there pretty quickly, probably by 8:45. They started redirecting cars other places, and then they filled in with cars later there. I had a couple places on my mind that I knew were going to sell quickly. I really wanted to I knew Ocean by the Sea was going to be in the Pom Pom magazine, in the vicinity of Pom Pom magazine in Building B. And I knew also from experience at EYF that she sold out very quickly. Like, I think by the time I got to her at EYF, she was completely sold out. I think she was better prepared this time around because I saw her very early. It was probably like 9:15, 9:20. I went right there. And she had a lot. I was really curious because I placed a pre-order with her back in June, and I still haven't received the yarn. So I was super curious as to what I ordered because it was a really interesting base. It's a Corridel mohair base. So I looked at it, I checked it out. I really like it. I think it's going to make a gorgeous sweater. I don't remember what color I bought. She dyes natural. She's a natural dyer. If you don't know about her, she's from the UK. Natural dyer. So everything tends to be in those very soft colors, those pale, like from natural colors, like I have some natural colors, so like natural color fleece like this, up through like subtle shades of gray, brown, and then pinks like pale blush pinks, and aqua. She gets this really, really intense aqua. I hope that's what I bought. I cannot remember. And I don't know when I'm getting it. I know she said her next pre-orders will be November. So I'm assuming that she'll be finishing up the orders this month and shipping them out ahead of doing the next pre-orders. So, yeah, I actually didn't talk with her either. Like, she was really busy, and I didn't want to start chatting with her and then say, hey, I have this order since June. I just figured, whatever, I could send her an email if I don't hear from her soon. On that. Her yarn is pretty expensive too, but there's a lot of intense, it's not expensive for what you're getting because there's so much intense handling and like hand done things with her product. It's certainly worth it, I think. And her bases are really unique and interesting. I really loved seeing her work. But I just didn't, because I have yarn coming from her, I thought, let other people have her, buy her stuff. People who don't know of her or maybe don't appreciate her. But I was gonna say, I went back later. I went back at around 3 to see Clara Parks, which I'll come to later in this this video, which is really overly long. I hope I can cut it. And she still had yarn. So it wasn't like she was completely sold out. She still had yarn, and her booth was still, there was much, much less, but she still had some. So it was better than EYF where she had sold out. Like, everything was gone. I think there was like just single skeins left at that point, but I think you could still get sweater quantities from her. Yeah. So from there, my two places, I really wanted to see her yarn in person. And then I wanted to go to Loop Studios booth, Loop Fiber Studio. Loop Fiber Studio is run by a woman named Stephanie, or Steph. And I know there's a lot of company names with the name Loop, so there you go. That's what it is, loopfiberstudio.com. She is in upstate New York. And I had some conversation with her about using her yarn for a design submission. So I wanted to just check in with her and tell her that I did not get that my submission was not accepted, but that I had been talking with her when I was doing the submissions about a shawl that I ended up not submitting. I submitted a different design instead. But nevertheless, the shawl design has really been sort of haunting me a bit, that I really want to make it. So I wanted to make sure I picked up the yarn because it can be quite hard to get her yarn on her Etsy shop. So the yarn that I ended up buying from her are these two. She does this collection. She's known for the YinYang yarn. So this is the yin and the yang of I guess this is the yin and that's the yang of her YinYang collection. And the names all make sense like in a yin-yang way as well. So this one is actually yin and this is yang. Sorry, I mixed them up. Yin-yang. So I always thought Yang was the black one, but whatever. But they're all like this in that they're tweedy. So besides these two, I also bought this bright blue, this bright turquoise blue. And this one is called Far. So I think its counterpart, which would be, I think they're all, I'm doing such a bad job of this. I apologize. Steph. But I believe that these are 3-ply yarns, and the way it works, this one is 2 plies of black, 1 ply white, and this is 2 plies white, 1 ply black. It's something like that. It's like a 60-40 or a 66-33 split on the yarn colors. So the blue's counterpart would be, this is the blue with just a little white. The other one would be white with just a little blue, if that makes sense. So I picked up some of her yarn at Vogue Knitting Live last January because I just wanted to mess around with it and just try some different things. And I haven't knitted anything out of it yet, but now that I have a very definite design in mind for these, and I don't know that I'm going to need both of the white ones, I just thought, like, I'm planning to do this design that's going to have like sort of a op art feel, and I could easily put the bright pink. I have a bright pink skein of this. Wait, do I have it here? Yes, look. I'll show you. That's her pink. So I think this one's called Kiss, and the other one, the white, more white, predominantly white one would be is called Makeup. So I could easily put this in place of the blue, so I would get something like that. I don't know, I'm going to think about it. I do have this caked for another sweater that I'm planning to make. So I think a one-off, like these were hard to get together. Like I could either get the black or I could get the white. And I really wanted to see them together to pick them. So this was a fairly significant purchase at Loop Fiber Studio. This is actually my biggest purchase. I spent the most money in Loop. Because I didn't stop with the yarn, I went and got fiber too. So Loop does these fabulous, and I'm going to put a picture on here of what they all look like together, but she does these fabulous bullseye fiber bumps that you can then center pull out to spin. And I was talking with one of the customer people there. What are they called? Salespeople? One of the salespeople in her booth about spinning the bump, what it was like. Because there's some, I think I'm going to be sorry I didn't buy one of the rainbows, but I know I can get the bumps on Etsy, because I think she does them on Etsy. They sell really quickly, but when she does an update, you can get them, pretty easily. The other interesting thing about them, I'm going to show you the tag. She does interesting fiber blends. So this particular one, they're also really big. So she makes them and then weighs them and then prices them accordingly. So this was 5.8 ounces. And I realize you can't read it too well, but my hands are full. There we go. So you can see the color name is Bluebird, but you can see, hopefully you can see the fiber there. See the, yeah, there you go. So it's just dotted merino, so that means it's 100% merino, but you can see all the other blends that she might end up doing. But yeah, anyway, I thought this would be really fun. It's got a beautiful dark green outer cake. I thought this would be really fun to mess around with and spin. And I was thinking that, so I ended up buying 2 of these. I'm going to show you the other one now, and then I'll tell you what my thoughts were. So I ended up with, this one has some nylon and Angelina in it. So I also got this one. This is like a turquoise. You can see the sparkle in the white there. And this one is a 5-ounce bump. And it is got a little bit of gray. And my thoughts were that, I can make a cone of this, a spool of this, and I can make a spool of that, and I could ply them, and that would be really pretty. I do think that would be very pretty. But then afterwards, so she also has these where they make a rainbow. So it'll make like a perfect rainbow, like 7-8 colors in the bullseye. She has, and some are really bright. And the woman that was running the booth, or that was the saleswoman, she wasn't running the booth, sorry. The woman that I was talking to in the booth about spinning them, I was asking her what was the experience of spinning those like. She told me that what she does is she buys the rainbow ones, or she'll buy like really bright ones. She'll make a bobbin out of it, and then she'll ply it with like a black yarn, or a black ply, or a white ply, or a gray ply to like tone it down, to like give it a different, feel, like make it not so bright, but not blindingly so, because she had some blindingly bright bullseyes. But what I realized, belatedly, actually, I would think I was on my drive home, was that the rainbow ones would have been really cool. Yeah. I think so. I could do some fun color management with the rainbow ones. So you can see I stayed very tonal in my selection. Like if you look at a color wheel, I stayed in that blue-green area of it without, like, there were some that were also very high contrasting, like within the bullseye. Like, I'm quite certain that this bright turquoise, when I combine it with that gray, it's going to tone down quite a bit. So I'm going to end up with a very soft turquoise. And that's fine. I'm fine with that. But what I was realizing was that those rainbows could be fun to color manage. So I'm going to mess around with these. I may I know she vends at, at Vogue. So I may hit her up there for some of the more bullseyes. I'll play with those first for a little while. By the way, I'm doing great on fiber. Like, I really have a lot of fiber now. So plenty to play around with and think about, and all of that. So from there, since I was in the same barn that the Fox Hill, am I saying it right? No, yes, Fox Hill Farm Cormo vendor is. So there's this vendor called Fox Hill Farms. I'll show you her. I think you can see her tag. She's very well known for her beautiful Cormo, all in natural colors. So cream, brown, and shades of brown, and there might be a gray. I think there's a gray. And 100% Cormo, beautiful. She has zero online presence. So this was an investment in not just fiber, but also in time, because if I love it, I will have to wait till next year to get more. But I thought, like, after speaking to the woman in this booth where she had said put a white or black strand with it, that it might be nice to have some white fiber on hand to use to either mix in or ply with maybe some yarns to get a slightly different, like a lighter shade. I thought that could be fun. So I only bought one bag of, it's 4 ounces, so that would be like 1 skein's worth, and it was only $20. So I thought that was really good. She also, I think she had, this is in roving. I think she had bigger bags of it. There was a lot of it. She also had some dyed, like very small amount of it dyed. From there I went and met a friend. And then after that, we spent a lot more time talking, and I think we were a little bit slower about getting around, but my friend was going back today, so she did a lot of telling me, like, oh, it's okay, like I'm going to be back tomorrow. I'm planning to do most of my shopping tomorrow. And Sunday at Rhinebeck is pretty nice. Like, it's a much, much less crowded day, so it can be very, very enjoyable. She had a couple places that she really wanted to see. She wanted to go to the Harrisville Design booth. And I had sort of inched by it. Harrisville Design booth is one, like Miss Babs, Harrisville Design, the other Neighborhood Fiber Company. Those 3 had lines way out, far away from their booth. People lined up to pay. Not to get in, but to pay. So they were letting you get in the booth, get your order, get in line. And so yeah, the lines were really ridiculous. They were much lighter later on in the day, but at that particular hour, I think it was around 11, those lines were crazy, crazy. So Harrisville Design, I had inched by it before, and I popped in to look at the new Nightshades colors because there were two new colors. One is called Stiletto, which has like a lipstick hot pink color in it mixed with the black. Nightshades is all colors are mixed with black. If you're not familiar, really, really special yarn. It's 80% Cormo and I think 20% of some other wool. And I think the 20% of whatever other wool is the color. Because the colors are very subtle. I'll probably have popped a picture in here of it. Anyway, two new colors, Stiletto and one that was what they were calling black on black. So I was really curious about the black on black. I wanted to check it out. I wanted to see if it was something that I would like. Like I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I was expecting there to be like shades of black because having worked in the garment industry the way I did, like black comes in many shades, many shades. And not every black matches the other black. And if you've ever tried to wear a black top with black pants, you know exactly what I mean. And black shoes. You know exactly what I mean. Yeah, so I checked out those two colors, was not impressed with the black because it really was a solid black, which maybe people want a solid black. So there you go. That's your color. I can't remember the name of it. They didn't have the label up anymore. The other one was called Stiletto. It was a hot pink mixed in black. It was beautiful. That's definitely on my list when I know what it is I'm going to make. I'm not going to purchase it until I know what it is I'm going to make. I just decided not to. I was trying really hard not to buy yarn, really. I was really more focused on fiber, and I was taking notes in my head on yarn, other than the loop yarn. Like, I knew I really wanted the loop yarn. I didn't know I wanted the Seacolors till I saw it, until I touched it, really. Then I was like, yeah, I want it. But Harrisville Designs, those sly vendors that they are, had a big bin of this yarn in multitude of colors. Peace Fleece, it's called. And if I remember right, I think my friend and I walked by it twice. And we went finally, the second time we walked back by, we ended up digging in and buying, each of us buying a sweater's quantity. I picked this lovely lemon yellow color. It's called Peace Fleece. It's made out of wool that is farmed by Navajo, so Navajo Rambouillet, and then 75% Navajo Rambouillet, 25% mohair. It's got a really soft hand. It's so nice, but it still feels like it has a little bit of a tooth. And the color was called Yellow Butterfly, which I just thought was so pretty. So if you've ever seen yellow butterflies, that's what I got. That's the color. So again, sweaters quantity, super inexpensive. These were $9 a skein. So for $40, I got a sweaters quantity. So I really, really had a hard time passing that up. That's what I call a show special. That's a good show special. They had a huge bin of it. So I think that's something that they do frequently, where they have a big bin of yarns that are marked down. I don't know the story of why they were marked down. Yeah, I was trying to see too. I know there's a good story to Peace Fleece. If I remember in editing, I may link it, or I may link it in my show notes. What else did I do? I went to and these are actually some of my favorite little things that I bought. I got this one and this one. This is a little alpaca. Isn't it so cute? The little face. Look at that little face. And I just love the multicolor. So this, I guess the idea of these are that they are maybe ornaments for your Christmas tree. But yeah, they're so cute. And they hang really beautifully. Like you can see they're really well balanced, really well made. Helping women make a living in Peru. So yeah, these were adorable. Someone else had gotten these last year and talked about them. I can't remember who, on their podcast, and I was jealous. So I had to make sure that I found them this year and made my purchase. Okay, yeah, from there we did a lot of walking around. There were a lot of meetups. There were a bunch of meetups all in a row. So we had lunch. We did a bunch of meetups in a row. I met, on Podcast Hill. It was, oh my gosh, it was so busy. And I have some video of that. So I think I videoed, when I met Caroline. I didn't video me meeting her, but I met Caroline of Dunderknit, Knitting Vicariously. She's lovely. She's so lovely and so humble, and I just really like her. And it turns out that my friend is friends with her. Like, they're actually friends. My friend was from UK, and I didn't know until we were chatting, and I was saying that I was doing, I wanted to meet Caroline. She's like, "Oh, I'm friends with her. I'll introduce you." So that was cool. I was planning to meet Caroline regardless, so I was really happy to see her. We got selfie together, and it was fun. It was so fun. Prior to that, though, there was the Ravelry meetup at noon. That was the first one, so that's where everyone stands. I doubt you'll see me in the picture. We were pretty far back because the organizer of the picture was like, "Stand here," and so we stood there, and then suddenly there were like 20 rows of people in front of us. So we were like, we're never going to be seen in this picture. Never. So we were so far back. We were like the row right before the people that were standing on the benches. So we did that. We met Caroline. I ran over to do the Junko Okamoto meetup, and I got this adorable pin from the ladies that were running it. This little button. Sweater champ. So cool. That was really fun. And then we went to go see Kristy Glass and get into her Tell Me About Your Rhinebeck sweater. So I had seen Kristy earlier for the steeking. Then I saw her again for the Tell Me About Your Rhinebeck sweater. And then I saw her again for her bowling night, her As If Tea bowling night. While we were standing on the hill, there was someone from Magpie Fibers handing out little samples of their wool, so I got this little mini skein, this little 20-gram mini skein. So I get to try it. It is 100% non-superwash Corridel. So it's got it's so nice. Corridel's really a cool wool because it has like, I'm gonna botch up trying to tell you about the fibers. So I'll find out more about it and get back to you on that. But it's got like a halo, a little bit of a halo to it, which could be just the way this particular one is spun. It feels nice. I like it. I'm winding down. I forgot to tell you about these. I got these cute little potion making Harry Potter progress keepers that I got from Classy Squid Fibers. Because you never can have too many progress keepers. I figured that I always figure out that I need different weights because if I'm working with something very lightweight, it's important to have a lightweight progress keeper. I went back to the book booth where Ocean was, and I saw Clara Parks and got my book signed, Vanishing Fleece. I was too busy like talking sort of at her and with my friend to see what she was writing, but that's what she wrote. It's so cute. We Are the Wool. I love it. I can't wait to read this book. I actually may get it on audio for I don't know if it's out on audio yet, but I heard that she's going to be narrating it, which would be really cool and fun. So I may wait for it to be on audio because I tend to do better with audiobooks just because I can listen to it while I'm reading or while I'm driving, and I can listen to it while I'm knitting or spinning without, I can look at my knitting. I also like to read with some books I do prefer reading rather than listening to, so I will put the book on an iPad and then read it on my lap as I knit. I also picked up this book, The Secret Lives of Color, and it seems to be a sort of color history book. So it's like any color name, there's this history lesson about the color, about how it, what happened to it, or how some of the perceptions of it and how it was made and how it became popular, I suppose. And then in between the history lessons are, wait, that's not a good one. Let me show you a good one. are pages of actually of the colors that they're going to talk about. So like here's there we go. Here are the green pages, for example, so you can see like there's a good range of different greens on it. My monitor's over there, so if I'm looking at my monitor, it's just to see what you're seeing. Okay, so yeah, I did that, and then I think I made one last stop. Is this it? I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah, everything else is stuff that I have prepared for other things. We went to Into the World, which I had heard mostly about from Amy Florence of Stranded Podcast and Stranded Dye Works. So they had a pretty nice sized booth there that was not too crowded when we passed back through in the afternoon. And I picked up some BFL fleece in these lovely shades, which I'm currently knitting a sweater in like a rusty color, like this with blue. So I was like, oh, this is kind of funny, but I thought this would be fun. These so on a color wheel, orange and blue are across from each other, which means if you blend them, you're going to get brown. So I thought this would be a really fun, but if you handle them properly, you get this beautiful high contrast, where if you make it so that you can handle or see the colors separately. So I thought this would be a fun braid to practice color managing, and it's another 4-ounce bag of fiber. And then I got this color called Sentinel. And then I got this color called Captain Tight Pants, which I think is a kid's cartoon. And that's the range of those colors. So again, this is going to require some color management. This has I think you can see it pretty well in this angle, but this side here is cool side of the color wheel. This is the warm side of the color wheel. So active color management. Otherwise, I'm just going to end up with brown, because who buys these beautiful colors just to get brown, right? I don't think very many people do, but you do expect a little tone down on the colors. Last I went to the bowling night, as I said, where we all received this cute little giveaway from Kristy Glass. And I wasn't able to stay for the whole event. I stayed for most of it. I was not in the group photo. She was going to try to Photoshop me in there, so she took a picture of me, because I had to leave early, because I have Italy to get to. Gotta get to Italy. I got my vacation coming, so unfortunately I wasn't able to stay for the whole thing, but I had a lovely time just chatting with people. I met a spinner who was really cool, and we exchanged. She helped me, talk to me a lot about spinning. She actually had a sweater knit out of one of these that I bought. This. She had an entire sweater knit out of this. And she had told me, when I was looking at it, I was like, it's beautiful. And I said, it looks kind of familiar. Like, I feel like I've seen it. And she goes, yeah, it's classy Squid fiber. And I was like, I bought that color. And she told me it's her regular color. So if I do really love it, I may end up getting a sweater's quantity and spinning that. So anyway, that is my Rhinebeck recap. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got enough of a sense of what it was like, what my experience was like. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed my little whiskey segment. So I still have some left. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend and your fall. And I will be back I'll be back from Italy in 2 weeks. I may not record that week, so maybe 3 weeks before I record with my regularly scheduled programming. I'll be back with that then. I have some exciting stuff. Of course, now I have all this new stuff to think about and be dwelling on and thinking. I'm actually, spoiler alert, I'm going to be doing much of my gift knitting coming up. So if you are also into gift knitting, you can take a peek at what I'm planning to do for people in my life for gift knitting. But I'm gonna start queuing that up when I'm back. That's my next knitting project. I've got a little bit of repair work to do too. hoping to get to some of that before I leave on my trip. And yeah, there'll be a lot to share and a lot to show, and I'll have maybe some stuff about Italy in my next one. I'll tell you a little bit about it. I understand there's a lot of woolly shops in Florence, which is one of the cities we're going to. So if I have anything to share, I will definitely be talking about it. That's related, on topic, whiskey and wool. Maybe some wine. Maybe some wine too. All right, take care. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Please hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this, and please follow if you enjoyed listening to me banter on about my stuff. I would love to have you included in my little community. Take care. Bye.